Marston's Lancaster Bomber.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I was looking in the fridge and to be honest it's looking a bit bare at the moment. I've got quite a few craft beers in there, but do you know what, I just didn't fancy a pale ale or an IPA, and I've been trying the stuff from the Brewery all evening, and that is really good beer. And I've just tried the Morehouse's Blonde Witch, and that was a surprisingly good blonde ale. And I just thought, do you know what, I want to keep it British tonight, and there's very little in my fridge that is British at the moment, but I did uncover this little gem, and it was bought by me a while back. And I think I bought this in Morrison's, and it's available in most of the big supermarkets. It's actually brewed by Marston's. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to go into like what Marston's do. Everybody knows what Marston's do. They've basically taken over, commercialised, merged with Carlsberg, and they've basically become the AB InBev of the real ale world. But I don't care. If the beer's good, the beer's good. I'd done a video the other night about the light and bitter, and I was drinking the Banks's Amber Bitter, which was a beer that was brewed by the Marston's. And do you know what? Fucking, for the price, 89 pence, you cannot go wrong with that. That is quite a nice bitter. I know in a world of craft beer and, you know, £6 cans of 440ml over hopped IPAs, sometimes it's just refreshing to have a traditional British beer, and that's what I've got here in this. Of course, Lancaster Bomber. Do you really need to be told what it is? It's one of the most iconic British aircraft, arguably, along with the Spitfire, the most arguably iconic British aircraft ever. You know, I love my World War II history. I've made that clear on quite a few occasions, and to be honest, the Lancaster Bomber, you know, it is one of them instantly recognisable aircraft. They fly a lot over here in Kent, usually with the fly past. There's a fly past the side, but they're based in Biggin Hill, and you can hear that Merlin engine. And when you get four of them, and you know, if you're a petrol head, I'm not so much of a petrol, but I can recognise a decent engine when I hear it, and that Merlin sound is just unmistakable. It's like you can hear planes flying over here. We got there's a, what's it called, Headcorn is up the road, and you get like loads of private aircraft, and you hear them flying over all the time. As soon as you get like a Merlin engine, it's like bing, wow, that's a Merlin. You can hear it straight away. It's just, I don't know, that throaty roar. It's like a Harley. When you hear a Harley going past, it's unmistakable. It's just that beat. And of course it's a V engine, you know, it's a V12. Harley's obviously a V twin, but a Merlin is a V12. And if you can imagine, you know, 4 Merlin V12s roaring past, you are not going to hear that. So yeah, I mean, and of course if ever an aircraft deserved a beer to be named after it, then the Lancaster is one of them. Now, as I said before, you know, you can say what you want about Marston's and all that, and you know how they ruin beer, how they ruin breweries. I think the biggest gripe with most people is what they've done to Witchwood, you know, Hobgoblin brewer, which Hobgoblin is a very popular ale that was taken over by Marston's, and you know, people say that the recipe has changed. To be honest, I tend to agree with them. Witchwood's, I don't know what's going on there. It's probably bean counters from Marston's telling them they've got to do things cheaper, and I've seen that with the labels, and you know, the labels have gone from being, you know, full colour, really nice pieces of art to just some generic piles of Scheißen, as they say in Germany. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting and raving about Marstons. They have their good points, they have their bad points. So let's get on to the beer. Right, this is quite an interesting beer. It is 4.4% and that's a 500ml bottle. There is a brew sheet, which I'm really glad that they've done. It lists the malt, which are pale ale malt, which is going to be your base malt, and they put crystal malt in there. Yeah, standard fare for most British bitters and ales, etc. The hops they've also listed as well. You've got Fuggles hops, classic British hop, Goldings. I'm assuming there is Kent Goldings because the next hop on the list is Styrian. I'm assuming they're talking about Styrian Goldings, so you've got two different types of Goldings hops in there. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just reading this between the lines. I could be wrong on that. But I've also got Challenger hops as well. So it's basically a showcase for British hops, apart from the Styrian Goldings, which are from Austria / Slovenia. Anyway, that's that out of the way. This looks promising on paper. Let's see if it delivers. Right, there's the cap, silver cap, nothing to see here. That's going in the bin. Let's get it out into the glass. Got me Cotley Brewery glass. If you've not seen the reviews of the Cotley Brewery beer, have a look. Really good brewery. Do some great British beer. Right, I'm just going to fill it out halfway, see what's what. What does that smell like? Not very much on the nose. Some faint caramel malt on there. I'm really struggling to get anything out of that at all. I've got a feeling this could be a very generic, they've called it an amber. Is it an amber ale or an amber bitter? Yeah, full-bodied amber ale. For all intents and purposes, I think that's going to be a bitter. Certainly looks like it. It's quite a dark chestnut colour, tightly packed, one finger, foamy white head. Nothing, absolutely nothing on the aroma, which is disappointing. Oh well, I've been proved wrong in the past. Would you believe? I know it might be hard for some of you to believe, not for me, but this could be quite tasty. Anyway, let's find out. Bottoms up. That's pretty reasonable. Fair bit of caramel malt on that. Earthy notes. Quite a dry, bitter finish to it. This has just come out of the fridge, so it's quite cold. And I don't know whether I'm killing some of the flavours having it, you know, straight out of the fridge, but it's reasonably tasty. Very easy drinking. Caramel malt. There's a slight coppery note. I translate that as copper. Body is medium. And this was cheap as well. This was just over £1, I think. £1.30 odd, I think. I would compare it with the Banks's bitter. Obviously that is dirt cheap. As I said before, it was 86p in Lidl's. You can't go wrong with a beer like that. and it's quite a reasonably tasty bitter. This stuff, I think, is sort of on a par of it. Tastes reasonably similar. I've called it an amber ale. I'd call it a sort of a easy drinking session bitter myself, but it's not bad. Would I go out my way to buy it? Depends on the price, but for all intents and purposes, it is a typical British bitter. Now, some people may buy that in bulk. I'd say in bulk, but like 6 or 7 bottles, drink them at home and be perfectly happy with it. Some people just do not like that full-bodied, rich flavour that you get from certain ruby ales and bitters, which is fair enough. I do get that. I can see the attraction with Guinness, and I can also see the attraction with the craft brewed stouts and the quite flavour intense stouts as well. So I do get that. Guinness is just easy drinking, you know, and you know the paddies love it, and it survived for nearly 3 centuries. So you know, who the fuck are we to argue that you know it's not that great? But what I will say is it's typical Marston's. It just does what it's supposed to do and nothing more. It's an okay pint, and that's as far as I'll go. It's pretty generic. Is it doing anything wrong? Not really. There's caramel malt. There's some British hop character in there. Earth, spice. Quite a dry finish. Slightly bitter. It's what you'd expect. So yeah, no surprises. Just bang, average. Does what it says on the bottle. So what's the verdict? Yeah, it's okay. There's no real alarm bells ringing with this. It's got quite a nice flavour to it. Is it an outstanding bitter or ale? No, it's not. Is it a nasty ale? No, it definitely isn't. It's very drinkable. It's what you would expect, what your average bitter drinker would expect from a beer. And I have to say, it wouldn't be my go-to, but it's not bad. I certainly wouldn't turn my nose up at this, and it's quite nice. 4.4%, quite sessionable. If somebody said to me, this is all we've got, will you drink it? And yeah, I'd be quite happy drinking all that all night. No worries. I wouldn't go out my way for it, but yeah, it's okay. I am going to give that a generous 7 out of 10. If it's there, buy it. You know, if you really want to do comparisons, get this and get the Spitfire. Try the two. I think you prefer the Spitfire myself. That's quite a nice. You know, you got a Spitfire bottle and you got a Lancaster Bomber bottle. You know, somebody should come out with Mosquito or Hurricane or Typhoon bitter. You know, just do the whole lot. Just go along and do the whole lot. Or maybe even a German brewery should come up with Messerschmitt, Heinkel, Junkers. I don't think that's going to be happening in the near future. But that's just me. Don't mention the war. Mentioned it once. I think I got away with it. And remember, beer is working class champagne.